What made you straight up nope out of a relationship? How about things that should have been red flags, but I was too naive to recognize? Left notes on my car windshield when I was at work / a friend's house / the store. Seemed sweet, but I realized later that was my so keeping tabs on me, even when I did not say where I was. Let me know how much a hitman cost, and that it was cheaper than your Perto. Would tell me something, and then later say that was a lie or a test, as though I should have figured that out instead of expecting the truth. Expected me to answer every call, and would get angry if I wanted to end the call first. Complained about my friends and family all the time. All of them. Apparently everyone I knew was manipulative and or rude. I did not figure out this was an attempt to isolate me until after we broke up. He had already shown very jealous tendencies and had smacked me over the head because he thought I was looking at a guy, so it wasn't good already. We were outside of his friend's house and his friend asked how I was doing and he got mad at me for answering. I just got in my car and drove away. When he didn't want to have sex because he was grossed out by my period that I had finished *THRE days prior. Noped out of that one real quick. He slapped me. I bounced TF out. I received a message that clearly wasn't meant for me. We just had our first date which went really well. Calling me cheap and a slime ball and how I'm on my last chance to make things right on her coming birthday with lots of presents. I replied, hi, this is X. We just met and had one date. Was that message for someone else? She replied pretending to be her 12-year-old sister. Then apparently her dad messaged me with how he's told off his younger daughter. I'm out. Fuck that shitty pounds. He introduced me to his Beanie Baby collection on the third date. I was not too bothered until I made the motion to leave and he asked me to hug, kiss, tuck in, and address each one by name before I left. There had to be at least 30. One day he casually told me he has a wife and 2 daughters, but was unhappy and his wife never suspects anything. Stalked me for 2 months to change my mind. Crazy guy. I told her I was going to leave her, and she said Arizo you're going to leave me, just like you left your brother. My twin brother committed suicide in 2017, and she knew how much guilt I had over not being there for him. Such a manipulative, disgusting thing for any person to say, especially someone who claims to owe or vow you. I moved out 2 days later. We were 5 days into a relationship and work was going to have me move somewhere, and I said we should do long distance for a while. She wasn't particularly fond of that idea and told me she would just drop her PhD program to move wherever with me after 5 days. I came home from temporary duty a day early to surprise her and found the neighbor in bed with her. We were married for 6 weeks at that point. He wanted me to grow out my pit and leg hair and texted, called, and emailed me repeatedly about it. It seemed like a pretty silly thing and he just had a little fetish, but after several days of this my sister said, why do you always attract the controlling freaks? And I finally had a moment of clarity. He was working and then had enough money to move out, but he told me he would stay with his mother forever because she cooks and do the chores for him. She threatened to stab me. We were dating for a month. Adarut kind of 22-year-old spends their only day off playing video games. A 22-year-old chef hollers working 3 jobs and has finally coordinated an actual day off between the 3 of them. Genuinely feared for my safety. I went over and we got in an argument, so I slept on the floor essentially. I went to the bathroom to text one of my buddies to come pick me up since I thought she had fallen asleep. I suddenly get a text from her saying where are you? And my phone made a sound. I froze up and opened the bathroom door and she was already standing there waiting for me in the darkness. She didn't say a word at all, just stared at me until I walked by. I went back to my spot on the floor and got under the blanket and pretended to be going asleep until she did. After about 30 minutes I decided to peek out from under the covers, and she was literally towering over me in total darkness with her eyes wide open the entire time. I got the fuck out of there so fast. She picked me because I had the same first name, general appearance, and lived in the same area of the state as her ex-fiancé of 2 years that she had just been dumped by a month before we met. I felt even more offended about all of that than just being straight up rejected. Married for 6 years. Started out thinking she just struggled with depression and anxiety sometimes, but things kept escalating. I walked away when she started threatening to stab me in my sleep. We had already tried several couples therapists and individual therapists, but she refused to consider medication. I called her to meet up and try to find some closure, but she cut me off telling me I wasn't allowed to leave her, and as punishment she was sleeping with 2 other guys. At that point I just ignored her number and filed for divorce. Hope she's doing well, but glad to not be afraid for my life. My brother came to visit me. After I spent whole day with my GF, it was time to see my brother because we did not see each other for a long time. We prepared some snacks and about to start Lotta because both of us love Lotta. She called me and started a long conversation on phone. I said my brother waits for me and she said that I cannot spend my time with anyone because it belongs to her. It was last talk between 2 of us. We had been together for quite a while, 6 to 8 months, and lived together for at least 2 months. When I decided to make tuna salad, I asked how he liked it. He told me. I came back with 2 bowls. Half the can made his way, and half the can made the way I liked it. He completely freaked out. He said, Arif, we cannot agree on how to eat tuna. How will this ever work? I said that we don't have to agree. We can both have it exactly the way we want and be happy. He vehemently disagreed. I started thinking of all of his other controlling behavior and inability to compromise. It wasn't known at that day that we broke up, but it was definitely the day our relationship broke. The cheating did not help either. When my now ex-wife came into the living room, where I was sleeping on the couch after a fight, and started lunging at me. She asked me if she reminded me of my stepdad who used to come in my room at night and stand over me before he dragged me out of bed by my ankles. He would then put the boots to me for whatever sins I had committed that day. She was the only person I had ever shared this with. She went out of town for work 2 days later, and when she came home I was gone and in another state. It was remarkable the amount of abuse I put up with to that point. It dawned on me then that if he had returned to my life I would not let him hurt me, so there was no reason to let her abuse me either. *EDITED to @ thank you for all the kind words and support, especially the support given to others who shared their similar stories. Peace, happiness and love to you all. He put a gun in my face and threatened to kill me. Noped right out, even though we had been married 4 years and had kids. I was not going to be around for the day he actually pulled the trigger. When she accused me of ignoring her while I was at a funeral. It was already on the rocks from roughly around the time the millionth drunken argument happened. However, the moment that sealed it was when she said something to me along the lines of, if your dad wanted to be alive he would still be here. My dad died in a car accident 3 years before that. Immediately went from loving her enough to make it work to thinking she was the most vile person on earth. She kept waking me up over and over all night trying to have an argument with me. The argument was about me going to sleep. My brother took a girl to a high-end sushi place and his date ordered 3x the food as he did. He just got a grilled salmon. She ate almost none of it, and at the end she said she ordered all the extras so she could take some home for tomorrow. When the waiter showed up for the bill she excused herself to go to the bathroom. The waiter asked my brother if he wanted to split the check, and at that point my brother did the right thing and stuck her with $100 worth of sushi and booze. The girl returned to see a huge check at her seat. We went to the mall and stopped by this little kiosk selling cookies. I decided that I would get one cookie. The lady working there said, if I buy 2 I get 1 free. I decided to buy 2 and get the third one free. My date went off on this lady saying she's trying to scam me etc etc. He was legit yelling, so loud that it was echoing through the mall. It was so embarrassing. If you're rude to people in customer service, you're not for me. She taped photos of her ultrasounds of a child she lost custody of with masking tape around my apartment on her first visit to my apartment. Told everybody she knew about any little disagreement. Anytime I could be perceived unreasonable, it was a very anonymous business. But somehow the surprises, special dates, lending her cousin rent money, all of that was not brought up. Just negative stuff was public knowledge. When she came home drunk one night, asking me if my brother had told me. Told me what? That I cheated on you with him? Edit, my brother cheated on his GF with my GF. Just to make everything even more fucked up. Edit 2, no, this all happened a month before she came home, drunk, and told me, which was autumn 2019. Edit 3, no, I didn't sleep with his ex-GF. And no, I didn't punch him or anyone. The only thing I did punch was my ex's concrete wall. This entire thread makes me feel like such a mentally stable adult.